Welcome back to the channel, everyone. My name is Steve. Her name is Jezie. I'm going to be doing this video all alone because she's upstairs working, but she might pop down. We'll see. We'll see. Today we have something a little bit different for you. This is a comparison between rent prices in America, the UK, and the Philippines. We currently live in the UK, and I've been here for a long time. Jezie's been here for a few years. I'm from America originally. I lived in America for a very long time. And she's from the Philippines, so we have really good experience between the two of us living in these different countries, experiencing rent and the cost of living in all three. So I'm going to be looking through the rental prices for one-bed apartments, two-bed apartments, comparing the different areas in each location, and just kind of comparing the prices, showing you guys what you need, basically, to have a roof over your head. If you haven't already, please like this video. It really helps the algorithm. Please subscribe to the channel. We're growing very quickly. We've just hit, I think, 1,800 subs, which is really awesome. We've grown very quickly. I really appreciate the love, guys. If you're interested in travel videos, reaction videos, funny shorts, comparison videos, things like that, definitely subscribe to the channel. We do post content very regularly, both long form and shorts. We also post on Instagram and other things too. So, okay, without further ado, let's get into this craziness that is, the cost of living comparisons between three very different countries. The UK and the US might seem very similar, but they are very different countries. Cost of living, how we, get charged for rent and other things is very different. And the Philippines obviously is a completely different story. So let's get into it. First, I'm going to take you through a few things here. So first, I'm going to take you through the average cost per country for a one-bedroom apartment in the city center. Okay, so this is in the biggest cities within these countries, usually the capital, but I'll go through that as we look at it. But if you look at the map here, so anything that's dark green is very, very cheap, very, very affordable in comparison to like the lighter oranges and yellows. Those are the expensive countries on this list. So let's take a look, because obviously you can see there's some massive differences between the Philippines, which is down here, and the UK here, and America here. So just hovering over, you can actually see it right away. So a one-bed apartment on average in America costs $1,700. This is in USD. In the United Kingdom, it's $1,300, $1,376, and in Philippines, $300. So absolutely massive difference. I'm going to calculate the differences as well between the three, so you can see it in pesos, dollars, pounds. But $1,700, $1,300, $300 when it comes to the average rental price. This is for the entire country. There's going to be obviously big differences between certain cities within those countries. But let's just take a look real quick. So if we take a look at the dollar and we go $1,700, right? That's roughly what it was. 96,000 pesos per month is the average rent in America, okay? We look at the UK, it was 13 something. Let's just say it's 1376, I think is what it was. 78,000 pesos per month. That was the average rent in the UK. And if we now do that to pounds sterling, where is it at? I was just there. There you go. So this is in pounds. In the UK, this is the average rent, £1,000. And in the US, 1,700. There you go. And we obviously saw in the Philippines, it was $314 was the average rent, which is 232 pounds per month. Okay, so it's an absolutely massive difference. So now we can see we've got New York City, arguably one of the most expensive places to live in America, but still, we're going to use this as an example. We're going to use London, New York City, and Manila as examples, because those are the most expensive places to live roughly in each of those countries. There might be a little bit of variation with that. I might be a little off. I think maybe San Francisco might be more expensive than New York, but I'd have to double check that. But let's just use these three cities because they're absolutely massive cities. So it's a good comparison, I think a good model when we look at the differences in price. So you can see here a two-bed, and I'm just doing two-bed apartments or condos in any of these cities. So a two-bed in New York City. All right, let's sort by newest. So here we go. So we've got a two-bed. This is in Brooklyn, $6,200 per month. $6,200 per month. Okay, $2,900 in the Bronx. There it is. These are suburbs of New York City. Ridgewood, $3,300 for a two-bed. Brooklyn, $3,000. So it looks like it's averaging somewhere around $3,000 to $4,000 a month. Let's just take a look at what a two-bed apartment in New York City looks like. There you go. Nice big kitchen. Good sized kitchen. It's decent size. Yeah, it's decent size. You are sharing a laundry facility, sharing a bike rack. Let's take a look though. This is $3,300 per month. Let's take a look at what $3,300 per month is. $3,300 is 2,400 pounds. Okay, and if we do pesos, PHP, there we go. 3,300 is 188,000 pesos per month. Okay, that seems to be a pretty rough average in New York City, right around $3,000 to $4,000 per month. 188,000 pesos. Okay, now let's compare that to London. London, we've got 2 beds, newest listed, 12,000 results. Let's take a look at what we have here. So 4,500 right here, 2,000 pounds. This is in British pounds. 2,000 pounds, 5,600 pounds, 4,000 pounds, 2,000 pounds, a little less than 2,000 pounds. There you go. There are some that are under 2,000 pounds, but it seems to be the average seems to be between 2,000 and 3,000 pounds per month. Let's take a 2,500 pound property. Let's see what this one looks like. Looks pretty nice and airy. Big open plan living room, dining room, kitchen combo. Not as spacious as the New York City one. Not as equipped. Oh, there's your bedroom, one of them. Your bathroom, quite small. Shower, another bedroom there. Okay, so that's what you get for 2,500 pounds in London. There are, just like with any of these places, there are areas which are much more attractive as well, which are going to be more expensive. It really just depends on where you are living in New York City, London, Manila, right? But that's roughly what you get. And 2,500 pounds is 192,000 pesos. Okay, it's a lot of money. And when we look at the dollar, 2,500 pounds is $3,380 per month. So roughly, it's very, very close. I think the averages for New York City and London are almost identical. They're very close. If we look at some more properties, I bet you we could flesh that out and it would actually be very, very close. So let's take a look at what Manila has to offer. We have Metro Manila for rent, apartments, condos, 2 beds, newest. Let's see what we have here. So this one's being built, project in progress, delivery July 2025, 24,999 pesos per month. It's a 2 bed, 1 bath, 36 square meters. Okay, let's look. Here's another one, 23,000. This is in progress. 33,000. Here's a condo in Capital Subdivision, Pasig. Pasig's pretty central. Wow, 270,000 pesos per month. This one is a very expensive property, condo for rent. I'm curious what that one's gonna be like, but in Taguig. But then we have another one here, 35,000. This one has 4 bathrooms, so that gives you an idea. This is and 2 car parks. Okay, so this is a very luxurious property. This one, 35,000 pesos. Another very expensive one. Again, it has a garage, which I think is what's making it so expensive. 2 bathrooms as well, 170,000. So you can see there are properties in Manila that are quite expensive, but there are some that are a lot less as well. I'd say the average is probably between 50 and 100,000 pesos for the 2 beds that are listed here. But these could just be very expensive properties. If we take a look at like this one here, compared to this one. Let's see the difference. We have the 35,000 pesos per month property. There's the view, nice view. Very small kitchen. Very small kitchen. Very small bedrooms. Does have a nice bathroom, looks all right. This is a pretty small property. 62 square meters. I mean, it's not too bad, I guess. It's a decent size, average size property. Condominium, 35,000. Penthouse, fully furnished as well. Okay, so and this is in Capital Subdivision, Pasig, which is very central. Now we have the one of the really expensive ones, 165,000 pesos per month. Yeah, it looks a bit nicer, a bit bigger, nicer bathroom. It's not hugely different. It is double the size, 138 square meters. It is double the size. This has car park as well. It's in Makati. That's the reason why it's so expensive. Makati is extremely expensive in Manila. Makati, BGC, those are the most expensive areas in Manila. So there you go. That gives you an idea of what that costs. Now let's look at the price. What is that in pounds and dollars? So we had the cheaper one was 35,000 pesos. That is $600 a month. And that is £453 per month. So very, very cheap for rent. And again, that's within like the capital city, most expensive area. Very cheap for rent. Okay, and what is the other one? The other one was I think it was 165,000, right? That's £2,000 per month. So that's very comparable to what we saw in London and New York. All right, let's switch it up. Let's look at places that are for sale now. We're going to start with Manila. So 18,900,000 pesos, 6,900,000 pesos, 5 million, 9 million, 33 million. Kind of all over the place here. But let's see what you can get for, let's go with the 9 million property. So 9 million pesos. Let's see what this one looks like. 9 million pesos. You get a swimming pool in the property. Ooh, a nice looking bedroom, bathroom. It's a lounge downstairs. These are the amenities within the building. I prefer to see more of the actual property itself, but let's see, it's a condo in Quezon City near Soler, north of the Crestmont. Starts at 32K monthly, which we did the math on that. That wasn't too bad. 32K monthly. 57 square meters, so it's on the smaller side. 1 bath, 2 bed, condo for sale. 9 million pesos. So 9 million pesos. Let's see what 9 million pesos looks like. There it is. There's 9 million pesos. We have 116,000 pounds. That gets you a condo in central Manila, or $157,000. Same deal, right? So that buys you a condo in central Manila. Now let's do the same thing in London. We have a flat, it looks like, in Bushy Grove. I don't know where that is. Tristan Lodge, within this apartment building, 300,000 pounds. That's on the lower side for London for sure. Here we've got Mayfair Residence. This is a higher end, 13 million pounds. You don't want to know what that is in pesos. It's really, really, really high. Here we go. So we're looking at 2 million. I'm gonna try. This is by highest price. I don't know why it's doing that. So let's go with this. News listed. We've got 600,000. Okay. Wick Lane, London, 2 bed, 1 bath. Let's see what that looks like. Pretty spacious. Looks nice and spacious on the inside there. Kitchen. Okay. Decent kitchen. Not too bad. Big old mirror. That's a really big mirror. Decent space in the bedrooms. Yep. Bathroom looks nice. This is actually a nice looking property. It's a leasehold. You do have to pay annual ground rent of $250 per year and an annual service charge of $4,000 per year on top. It is council tax band D, which is one of the most expensive council taxes as well. So that's a little bit different. You gotta pay these fees every year. I'm not sure if it's the same in Manila with the property we looked at. This is really close to Olympic Stadium. So is that Wembley then? So that's what you get for 600,000 in London, 835,000 pounds. Combined living, kitchen area, bedroom. That's an interesting building. Decent sized bathroom. 835,000. It is a leasehold, just like the first property. 400 per year ground rent and 2,500 per year annual service charge. Let's look at what these costs are like in pesos and dollars. 835,000 pounds. That is $1.1 million, or 64 million pesos. 64 million pesos for a similar size flat in London. We looked at a couple. They kind of ranged. Let's look at that first one as well. It was 350,000. Let's say it was that. That was still 27 million pesos. So these are absolutely massive differences in cost when you look at them. 9 million pesos versus 27 million pesos on the low end in London. That's very 350,000 in London is extremely cheap. You're likely to be in a very bad neighborhood or have some sort of weird lease agreement. Whereas the normal prices that I would think in London proper would be more in like the 500,000 to 1.5 million pound range. So I think that 800,000 pound range was probably more accurate. You're talking about 61 million pesos. Okay, 61 million pesos and $1 million, right? Huge amounts of money for a 2-bed apartment or flat. And that's not even including the council tax, all the different taxes, the leasehold agreements that they had as well. It might be the same in Manila. Let me know in the comments if Manila also has those things, council tax or taxes on, that you have to pay every year, home ownership, whatever it is, association. All right, finally, we're going to look at New York City for sale. Let's try doing this now and see what we run into here. 2-bed, newest. We've got $599,000, $469, $260, $599. Okay, let's take a look. It seems to be hovering around that $500,000 mark on average. There's a few lower and then a few higher as well, as you can see. If you're in New York, that's, I'm assuming that's Manhattan area this would be in. I'm assuming somewhere in Manhattan. Brooklyn is just outside. It's not in Manhattan. Let's take a look at one of the ones that's very average. So $599,000. It's in Brooklyn. Brooklyn's a suburb of New York City, just outside Manhattan. You cross the river. You're there. Let's take a look at what you get. This is for $600,000. Decent sized looking living room. Yeah, nice looking bedrooms as well. Kitchen's pretty. You got a separate dining space. Kitchen's actually kind of small. I see it. It's okay. So the kitchen's actually a little bit separate. Not really in the dining room area. And here's another bedroom here. Decent sized looking property. It's not bad actually for the space. It looks okay, but $599,000. Let's take a look at what that is. That is 34 million pesos. 34 million pesos, 442,000 pounds. So I think that's on the lower side compared to where we were looking at prices in London. I feel like London's it just kind of edges a little bit higher than New York City prices when it comes to sales, but we didn't really dive into it too deeply. But you can kind of get an idea of where these prices are and how astronomically high they are in comparison to the Philippines. I do find that, the same with the UK, with the US, and with the Philippines. When you move out of these big cities, it gets significantly cheaper. So we currently live in the UK, and we live 2 hours north of London. And we pay a lot less than this. I mean, I can give you an idea. Our rent is £750 sterling per month, which is $1,000. Let's see what that is in pesos real quick. 57,000 pesos per month. That's our rent, living 2 hours away from London. Now, if we lived in London, it gets so much higher. When I was living in the south, I was paying £1,300, which is 100,000 pesos per month for rent. So just to give you an idea. Now, I know that I've looked at places in the Philippines. I mean, let's look at what 32,000 condo for rent, Pampanga. 32,000. You get a garage, secured subdivision, average size, kitchen living space. It's not big, but it's not small. Bedroom, okay. Bedroom number 2, okay. There is some extra little space there. The bathroom, okay. It's got a nice shower. Looks like it's all done. They have a pool on site and a playground for kids. So not bad. Let's see. This is Angeles City, Pampanga. 1 bathroom, 1 guest toilet, condo. 32,000 per month. And I know a lot of Filipinos are probably going to look at this and be like, oh, that's expensive for a place in the Philippines. But let's take a look at what that is in dollars and pounds. 32,000 pesos is 415 pounds. So that's 300 pounds less than what I pay now. Granted, this is still really close to Manila. $561. So it's really cheap compared to the UK and the US, while still living very close to the major city. I think we're going to wrap it up there, but let us know in the comments, what do you think about the prices in these 3 cities? We looked at New York City in the US, we looked at London in the UK, and we looked at Manila in the Philippines. We did kind of browse a little bit outside, but let us know what, where do you live? What's the rent like? Is it, does it compare similarly to these places? What are the costs of living outside of that? Do you have council tax like we do in the UK? Do you have property taxes? Do you have homeowner association fees? Let me know in the comments. If you do have anything you want us to talk about and look at and compare in the future between different places, please let me know in the comments as well, because we will react and look at different things, compare things in the future. We're planning to do a lot of traveling. We've lived in different countries. So I've lived in America and the UK and Germany and the Netherlands. She's lived in the Philippines and the UK now. She also lived in Singapore for a bit, so she knows a bit more about Asia. I know more about Europe and the US. But yeah, let us know what you thought in the comments of this video. If you have any, suggestions, put that there as well. And as always, thank you very much for watching the video. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and we'll see you on the next one. Later!